I'm going to attempt to speak without the microphone. Can everyone hear me? If my voice fails or falters, simply raise your hand and I'll know to pick up the decibel level a notch or two.
There's 72 of us now.
You're right. Before I begin, I'd like to make 3 disclaimers. The first disclaimer, is that it may seem that I'm drawing from the well of communication truisms, tenets, underlying principles that are absolute. Nothing is absolute. There's always an exception to the rule. The only absolute that I know, other than death and taxes, of course, is the absolute Almighty God, and the fact that God's unconditional love for us is absolute. So don't take anything I say today as an absolute. Disclaimer number 2, there is nothing new under the sun. So if there's nothing new under the sun and I can't tell you anything new, what am I going to tell you? Well, hopefully I can give you a clear, accessible exploration of some of the fundamentals that will help your audience connect to your message. Note that I did not say help your message reach your audience. That's an important nuance, to help the audience connect to your message. And the third disclaimer is that the world of communications is like a expanding universe. There's constant innovation. There's myriad interconnections. So when I find myself drawn into one of those related but parallel fields, you might hear me say, but that's another workshop. That's simply my way of, don't worry, you're not missing the workshop. It's simply my way of keeping on track, keeping on topic. So, is anyone listening? Which is what we're here for today. Let's see if... The world of communications is based on a very simple theory. There's a sender who has a message that wants to give it to the receiver. It's not rocket science. It's very, very simple, very elementary. But sometimes, even sending a simple message can get complicated. The theory is, who is sending what, to whom, and why? It sounds like a very straightforward question. There should be a straightforward answer. But sometimes, even when we ask a straightforward question, you get a very convoluted answer, or you get something that doesn't even seem to be related, even when it's a straightforward question, like who is sending what to whom and for why. Correct? Correct. And so that really underlines some of the challenges we face as communicators and in making messages. We have to simply be able to identify who is sending what to why. And to help us get into that world, we're going to look at a little tale from...
I'll tell you, Jimmy. You know what I love, Jimmy? I love baseball. When we get to St. Louis, will you tell me the guy's name from the team so when I see him in the big St. Louis ballpark, I'll be able to know those fellas?
All right, but you know, strange as it may seem, they give these ball players nowadays very peculiar names.
Funny names.
Nicknames, pet names. Now, on the St. Louis team, we have who's on first, what's on second, I don't know's on third.
That's what I'm trying to find out.
I'm telling you, who's on first, what's on second, I don't know's on third.
You know the fellow's name?
Yes.
And who's playing first?
Yes.
I mean the fellow on first base.
Who?
The fellow playing first base for St. Louis.
Who?
The guy on first base.
Who's on first?
Why are you asking me for?
I'm not asking you, I'm telling you who is on first.
You guys talking about me?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we are. This is who?
How should I know? I never met the guy.
Well, now you met him.
That who?
Yes.
Look. Would you tell me your name?
Who?
You.
Who?
Him.
Me?
Yes.
Who?
What is your name?
No. What's on second? This is who?
That's what I'm trying to find out.
All right, calm down, will you?
Okay, listen. When I say hello to this fellow right here, I'm saying hello to who?
Hello, nice to meet you.
See, now you're starting to get it.
Get what?
I'm right here.
And who are you?
I'm who?
What?
Yes?
Who's this fellow?
No, who is that fellow?
I am who? Who am I?
How am I supposed to know? What's your name?
Now, what is his name?
I'm not asking you what his name is. I'm asking you, who is this fellow right here?
That's right.
But what's his name?
What is my name?
You don't know your name.
Of course I do.
Well, then tell me.
What?
Your name.
What?
What's wrong with this guy?
Who? Yes.
I think he's got a memory problem.
Who? What? Yes.
Look.
Can't you see him talking to him? Who? What? Who? What? Who? What? Who? What?
Boys, settle down. Now then, I'm glad that's all cleared up. He's who and what's his name?
I don't know!
All right, gentlemen, I couldn't help but hearing.
It's taking a long time.
Look, it's very simple. This fella's actual name is Ho, W-H-O, and this fella's actual given birth name is what? W-H-A-T.
Well, that clears it up. Why didn't you just say that in the first place? But wait, who are you?
I don't know.
I didn't know. So his name is Adnan.
So basically, there we go. Now, where do we go from here? I don't know. But what I do know is that Jimmy Fallon used a couple of layers, a couple of means, in order to send that message to us. The means were in various layers. We had, first of all, the form. It was theatrical and comedic. We had the format, which was video. Then we had the delivery. The delivery was YouTube, but it's also via Parish Vitality Conference, via presenter. So see, all these elements are part of the communication messaging process. Basically, sender sends message through a means, could be layered, to a receiver, and we like a response. You did respond quite well. Hopefully, you're feeling a little bit better with those chuckles. However, the process, as human communication is a complex process, and it's multi-leveled. So what happens, of course, is that the receiver can get a response, but at the same time, the receiver might have a message that they would like to send back to the sender, who now becomes a receiver. Basically, that is what communication theory calls two-way communication, but what we call in ordinary terms is just conversation. What's happening, though, is that the level of media is now there's more conversation among audiences, more conversation than there was in the past. It's not new, it's just different. Two-way communication, it's not new. When you had newspapers with the Vogue, people wrote letters to the editor. That's receiver, readers sending something back to the sender. In the era of radio, you have talk shows. Talk shows is listeners sending a message back to the sender. So the feedback mechanism has always been there because it's basic to human communication. What's new is that it's dominant in the digital age. And now when we look at this communication, when we are communicating messages, we have to expect feedback and tie into that feedback circle. So one of the effects of the two-way communications phenomena is that everyone's an MC, an MG, an MP, and an MD, et cetera, et cetera. You all know what that means, right? Okay. Of course you do, MD, MP. People are message creators, message generators, message producers, message distributors, you name it. Everyone's doing something with a message. It also means that everyone's a publisher, everyone's a journalist, everyone's a critique. Everyone has something to say about everything. What does that, but that's another workshop. What does it mean for us? What are the consequences of this multi-message environment? Well, first of all, there's ferocious competition for attention. There's an incredible noise level, and it's going to get worse. All these messages are out there. And of course, only the fittest of messages will survive. The tendency with the ferocious competition for attention is to turn off. With the noise level, it's to tune out. And so your message, for it to survive, it's got to be really well honed. It's got to be well crafted. Recently, we passed the 7 billion mark in terms of the world population. 7.1 billion is the world's population. The number of cell phones is 6 billion. 6 billion cell phones. The good news is that only 1 billion of them are smartphones. Smartphones are what gives you the interaction. Smartphones is what makes you the sending the Instagrams. You're the creator, you're tweeting, you're texting. So that's where the two-way communication is predominant. So only 1 million of them are smartphones at this point. But very soon, that's going to change. It's going to be the reverse cycle, and the majority will be smartphones. So a lot of messaging. Now, this is the environment that we're living in. It's a good environment. It has its ups, and it has its upside, and it has its downside. All of us have tried some way to use communications to get our messages out there, correct? How many times have I heard people say, but I've tried it. I've advertised. I've made a poster. I have things in the bulletin. I have things on the website. We've got PSAs in the radio, on the newspaper, and only 10 people showed up at the event. How come? What's wrong? Or only 5 people gave to the fundraising campaign. Yes, we have message campaigns can be ineffective, and we can have poor results. In my experience, there are many, many factors, but there are always 2 factors present, in my experience. The first is that most often we have unrealistic expectations of what the media campaign can actually generate, what the media can actually do. We're not realistic in our expectations. And the second is, oftentimes our message fails to connect effectively with the audience. So let's look at the first one, means. I'm going to go to an advertising model, if this will change. Advertising, what it can and cannot do. Advertising is just the major means, advertising, marketing, they're basically synonymous. So what it can and cannot do. According to SCORE, which is a nonprofit organization that serves the needs of small business owners, or we could say nonprofit organizations, or church organizations, or fundraising campaigns, advertising can be a valuable marketing tool for any small business or church organization, but don't assume that creating and placing an ad will immediately translate into more sales, or more donors, or more people at your event. Why not? Well, let's have a look. In the article they published, Understand the Lure and Limits of Advertising, they say, according to the experts, advertising can attract new customers. It can attract new customers, new donors, people to your event. It could encourage your existing donors or customers to spend more, or your existing parishioners to come to your event. It will build credibility and establish and maintain your brand. It can inform and remind customers or donors or parishioners of the benefits of your organization. And it can promote it and slowly build sales, slowly build the donor base, slowly build the people that volunteer in your organization. These are all realistic expectations from advertising, but they're modest expectations. That's why when someone says, well, I did the poster, I have the radio announcement, and only 10 people came. Well, that's all what an advertising campaign can do. It's only part of the formula. What can it not do? Here's what advertising cannot do. It cannot create an instant donor base or customer base or an instant 500 people at your event. It cannot produce an immediate windfall in sales or in contributions. It cannot cure poor or indifferent customer service or poor organizational administration. If your organization doesn't relate well with the public, doesn't communicate well, it can't cure that. And it can't create benefits that don't really exist or sell products, services that nobody wants. Let's look at another aspect of advertising. In short, advertising won't guarantee quick sales for your product or service by itself, but it will get you noticed if you do it right. So that's a big if. What advertising will do is get you noticed. It's going to give you visibility. It's going to create awareness. That's what advertising will do, but you have to do it right. And to get those other results requires other kinds of initiatives. That means that you must know as precisely as possible the demographics of your audience and craft a message about your product or service that will touch them. All key elements. You must give customers a compelling reason to call, visit your website, or stop by your business, to give to your foundation, or to show up at your event. Let's look at another aspect. Ambassador is an online marketing company that works through social referral, basically social media. So it's not surprising that, what we're going to read here, that it's looking for this kinds of information, but it underlines a fundamental principle from my point of view. When it comes to driving sales for your online brand, nothing beats word of mouth marketing and referrals. Nothing beats word of mouth. This isn't just common sense. Hey, we have the facts to back it up. According to research by Nielsen, Ambassador says, 92% of people trust recommendation from friends and family more than all other forms of marketing. The study found that less than half of all customers considered traditional paid advertising to be credible. That's a decrease of more than 20% since 2009. Duh. Hey, where'd you get your roof fixed? Nice job. Where'd you buy your car? Is it nice service? That's what we do to our friends, to our family. It's all word of mouth. And simply what Nielsen is documenting, what humankind has been doing for ages. We've been asking each other what we think. We believe each other. We're credible to each other. Unless, of course, your roof is leaking. Then you don't ask. Yes?
Is that including like Twitter and stuff like that, word of mouth?
Yes, they're talking about using social media. This company is using social media, using the word of mouth aspect, the person-to-person aspect of social media in order to apply it for marketing purposes. And they're right on. But it may be a new trend as far as Ambassador is concerned with regard to social communications and marketing. But it's really goes back to the dawn of time and what we would call the human connection. So going back, even advertising and marketing is going back to like the fundamentals. We are the fundamentals, the human connection. In the 1980s, I was a new graduate, and I gave some workshops on audiovisual that people showed up to, and I said, when we look at the audiovisual world, people are doing slides and doing video, etc., and no one could anticipate, the kind of user-friendly ability that everyone would be a creator, everyone would be able to be a producer 20, 30 years later. But my comment to the people was then, and still is now, is that the human person is the best audiovisual component that we have. We're tops. Look, I talk, I hear, I act, I can express a range of emotions. I can move you to tears. I can get you to hold your hand over your ears. I can get you to walk out of here. Very easy, right? So we have it all. I can compute, I can think, I can argue, I can talk, and I can speak heart to heart. So the human person is the best audiovisual component we have. And that's what Marshall McLuhan meant when he said, the medium is the message, and each medium amplifies some part of the human condition. That's what he meant. We're simply replicating ourselves in media, replicating the things we do in media. That's another workshop. And for those of us, because of who we are and why we're here, we have the best model in terms of human communication. We have the best communicator. Jesus himself. Communicator, par excellence. No, I'm not talking about Twitter. I literally want you to follow me. And that is it. I literally want you to follow me. Jesus taught through parables, actions. The scriptures are full. The scriptures are a little bit of a textbook, a communication textbook. So we have a great model, and we're not doing anything new. And this is not rocket science. But why take my word? Why, okay, Jesus did it, said it. Maybe I'm not a follower of Jesus. What do others say? Well, let's go to a fellow by the name of Robert Lane. Robert Lane published a book a couple of years ago called Relational Presentation, a Visually Interactive Approach. And basically that book is all about using PowerPoint in a way that the presenter is not tied to the slides. So he's developed a software where you could do what Lucas is doing, like press and find your slide as you need it, and it pops up whenever you need it. It's an act, believe me. It's an it's a hard act. It's not an easy act to follow. But in his description about this process, he says, and it really exploits the potential of PowerPoint. He says, ironically, most, if not all of the fancy techniques will have the opposite effect from what you expect. Rather than drawing more attention to your technical prowess, these effects will actually cause the presence of the PowerPoint to be less noticeable. The software will fade into the background where it belongs to provide a support for the role of the presenter, the audiovisual person. You want this to happen. Remember that you, your content, your message, and your connection to the audience are the foci of the technology. What all of the sophisticated methods you learn in this book will help you do, if used properly, is simply to focus attention back onto you, the presenter. Okay, so from all points of view, you know, the gurus of communication come back to the fundamentals which we all possess. And a large part of that is based in the human factor and in common sense and in intuition. And all of us can use that in the way we craft our messages. So we've talked about you. We haven't talked about content or message. But before we get to that, we should talk a little bit about audience, because that's whom we're sending a message to. Hey, most people say, hey, look, if I post it, they'll get it, right? That's all I have to do is post it. So if I want to reach the 60 plus, let's get it in print. And if I want to attract men, a lot of women in their 50s, they're the new demographic for Facebook. And of course, the adults. Well, let's do the let's send them a picture. Let's Instagram it. All right. Well, yes, we need to do all that. This is not to say that we don't need to do that. Of course, we need to be present in the places where we find our audience. But will they get it? They will get it. Yeah, people might get the message, but the message might not get their attention. That's our focus. Will the message get their attention? So in order for the message to get the attention, the industry spends millions of dollars in something called audience research, which is expansive, empirical, and expensive. Anyone who's called in a group to come and run their campaign knows how much money it can cost. It's a growing body of work. It's good work. There are many theories. I'll cite one theory for you. There's the theory of audience research reception, whereby they say, look, when an audience receives the message, there's a segment of the audience that really gets the message. It's what we call the preferred reading. There's another segment of the audience that has difficulty with the message, so they negotiate a reading. And there's a segment of the audience that are really opposed to your message. So your message is gone. You always hope that the majority of your audience is in the preferred reading group. You'll take some negotiating, and you hope there's very few oppositional. But that's what that kind of research does. It's interesting information, and we can use it. But it's expensive. It's empirical. You know about ratings, research, Nielsen. We've seen some of that data. That generates a lot of information about who we're speaking with and what media they relate to, what are their concerns. That's important research tools. But it's expensive. What does the research basically do? Not all of it, but much of the research, because it's paid by businesses who want to advertise, much of the research is directed to help craft messages that will appeal to target audiences. Okay? So it's, what do I need to know about my audience so I can appeal to them so they get my message. I want them to get my message, right? So how am I going to get in the back door? Right? So you end up with something like this. Has anyone seen this? This was an ad in a local newspaper last week. Didn't catch your attention, eh? Didn't catch your attention. It's a full-page ad. I'm sorry I didn't bring it in. It's this big.
I was in today's Gazette.
Oh, you saw it in today's Gazette. Oh, so it caught one person's attention. Okay. Who do you think this ad is targeted to? young women, yeah, young women. Young woman who can afford a paycheck, $83 a paycheck, because it's bi-weekly. So if I'm clearing 700, well, 600, yeah, 83. I can afford 83. Yes, but it's to young women who looks like young professional women, or just they're out in the working force. Why the company decided to choose that target audience is because they've done some audience research. And they know that they could sell that car to that audience group. I have my suspicions why, but I'm not going to say it on camera. Okay, so let's look at the elements. So we have Cindy de Kirkland, the fashionista. She's posed in front of her car that could be hers for $83 a month, taking a selfie, right? And at the very bottom it says, "Get your car your way." So those are all elements to appeal to that segment of the audience. And there's a reason why they did that. Yes?
But that's not really a target audience that would read the Gazettes on.
True, true. It's not. Maybe online, yeah. But someone will draw their attention to it. I showed this to a young man, and the young man, the same age, went right to this information. I said, "Well, what about what's on top?" He said, "Well, I'm not a girl. I don't look at that." Okay, so it just goes to show. So this is to appeal. So that, for me, is what I call the message trap. A message might appeal to an audience, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the message engages the audience in a meaningful way. And the kinds of messages that we want to create, we want to engage the audience in a meaningful way. We have some good tools. The challenge then is to go beyond appealing to an audience and to engage the audience meaningfully. And it's not just us that are concerned about that. The advertising industry is concerned about that as well. Okay, well, let's go back to Robert Lane for a moment, the guy with the PowerPoint guy. He says tailoring your message to the audience is everything. Being willing to spontaneously adjust a performance or a message to the interests, backgrounds, and understandings of viewers helps you establish a relationship, a connection with them. The relationship is everything. So that's what we're doing when we're sending a message. We are building a relationship, or we want to draw on a relationship. That's key. Now I'd like to go, so how do we do that? Well, I'm going to go back to one of my profs. Good prof, John Buell. He wrote the book The Picks, which became a movie. John, in one of our classes, communication classes, way back in the day, talked about, he said, communication. He was talking about script writing. He was talking not necessarily about advertising, talking about scripts, trying to communicate something to an audience through media. He said, listen, you have to think of your process of trying to craft your message or develop your script as a ladder. He says, you want the audience to get to the top, the message. But in order for them to get there, you've got to get them on the first rung, and then the second, and you've got to give them the steps to get there. So what, for example, is the problem with this image, with this ladder of communications? Missing some rungs. What's wrong is there's no rungs. It's missing some rungs. So we need to pay attention to that. What is the first step? What's wrong with this ladder? Unless you're six feet tall like Lucas, you won't be able to make it up that ladder. So the first point in your message crafting has to be, where is the entry level for the target audience? The difficulty with that is that usually that's not what we think about. We think about, what is our message? Most message producers says, what do I want to say? What do I want to say that I think you should know? What do I want you to do? So we get the message out there because this is my message. This is our message. This is the organization's message. And that's okay. That's okay to have that message. But that's not the entry level for the audience. So I've come up with Eric's 7 steps because what it requires is a reverse way of thinking. It requires a bit of a mind shift. The first step, identify your message and its elements. You have to know what you're about and what you want to say and what are the elements of it. And then you have to do something that you're going to find difficult. Put them aside. Forget them for a moment. Forget your message. Forget these elements. Don't completely forget them. Just put them in the background. Next thing. Now place yourself in the audience seat. Okay? By means that pretend now that you're the audience that you're trying to send the message to. Assume their reality. Think of what their concerns are. In fact, you are part of the audience, so it shouldn't be too difficult. So identify the reality, their concerns first. Then from their point of view, anticipate what their reactions to your message might be. Saying, okay, so if I said this to so-and-so, I know what this so-and-so's thinking, or some of the things they think. And if I say this to them, what are they going to say back to me? How are they going to respond to that? All right? And then identify where what they're saying back to you and what your message is. Identify where there are points of convergence, where you're on the same page in a sense, or close to being on the same page. And once you've done that, I'm waiting for you. Okay, craft your message starting from their reality and their points of convergence, okay? That's the theory. Everyone's good at theory. How do you apply this? The proof is in the pudding. I'm not sure what my next slide is, so let me... Okay. How do you apply this? Okay. I think this is my last. Now, question. 3 questions for you. How many people here clean their cupboards, their clothes cupboards every fall? Could you raise your hand? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 8 out of 70 or 50. 8 clean their cupboards every fall. That's a good statistic. How many people here are from St. Luke's? Oh, good. 1, 2. Okay. Now, my question to you is not what do you know about the angels of mercy, but what do you think your parishioners know about the angels of mercy? Can anyone hazard to offer an answer?
They know.
What the parishioners know, not what you know.
They know lots because there's always somebody coming to tell us about angels of mercy and how we can help them, and that they will be by the door to give more information. And they have a box to receive whatever we donate.
Okay, so what do they do? Could you tell me?
Who does?
The angels of mercy.
They collect clothes
Yes.
for homeless men,
Yes.
and they help them, I think even with food and stuff.
Okay, but they collect clothes for homeless men. You think they help with food, right? You're not sure. Okay. That's good. Okay, so our message is the elements, there's core message, main elements, target audience just to review, and in the audience, attitudes, points of convergence, and crafting an audience-grounded message. Okay. Okay, this is an announcement that you will find in a bulletin. It was in St. Luke's, but it may be in other bulletins. It's an announcement like many other announcements in parish bulletins, correct? It's what I call a business card announcement. We all do it. There's an event going on, come to the event. There's a potluck supper, come to the event. There's a parish vitality conference, come to the parish vitality. They're kind of like, business cards announcements. And in this one it says, it's that time again to clean out your cupboards. The angels of mercy are once again in need of winter clothing for homeless men. Coats, jackets, sweaters, blankets, sleeping bags, winter socks, and winter gloves. Parishioners wishing to donate new or used items can do so after all Masses, October 1926, November 2. You can drop them in the box next to the exit to the parking lot marked Angels of Mercy. Please only, men's only, winter clothing. Thank you for your generosity.
Oh, I thought that they give food too. Sorry.
Ah.
You do? Okay.
Okay, okay. So that was the announcement that appeared in the bulletin. It's very clear. Look, you want to help people in need? You've got some clothes, drop them off. Who, what, when, where, why? It's all in that. In one sense, it's all there. So, is there any? Can anything be done? Is the message complete?
Well,
Yeah. From yes, yes, Jerry.
the only thing is that this was also mentioned after the Mass.
Okay.
So somebody came up and talked and specified exactly what they do,
Right. Okay.
how long it's been going on, and where it's
Okay. So it was a personal presence there. See, going back to the human connect, the human factor. So excellent. So that now, if someone just picked up the bulletin, however, and didn't hear the presentation, and was that at all the masses that they spoke?
Yes.
They spoke at all the masses, so that's good. Okay. So now, let's look at this. Let's apply the 7 steps. What's the core message? The main elements, it's a fall cleaning season. Homeless need to keep warm, be generous, here's how. The targeted audience is church-going parishioners. So far, so good. Now, let's go to the audience. Remember, this is the hard part, getting into the audience point of view. Okay, audience, all right. How do you think most of the people, well, how do you think you'd like most of the people in the parish to respond? Love to help. Tell me how, right? Now, can anyone tell me, were there lots of clothes donated?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was successful in that sense. Yeah, so I mean, that's good. And that's why I said we're in a good area because most of our messages involve some kind of altruistic motivation. And we all love to be human, and that's part of being human. So even if the message isn't in its best form, if you're appealing to an audience that loves to help, you're going to get a good response. However, and I'm happy there was a good response, there is the love to help but. Right? But what? Can anyone tell me about what? I don't have men's clothes, yes? Anything else? What? I don't have time to clean the men's clothes. Okay, anything else? I don't have a card to get the clothes. Well, okay. I can't get them there, okay? Okay, let's look at a bunch of others. I don't own any men's clothing. My husband died 5 years ago and I've given everything away. I'm on a tight budget and I really can't afford it. You know, you've got 5 kids, you've got, you know, like hand-me-downs are being used. I contribute to the Helping Others Fund, i.e. I gave it the office. Okay, meaning I don't want to contribute. Not my kind of charity. Code word for, you know, homeless. I give to charities, but homeless, you know, I'm not sure. Okay? By the way, what do the Angels of Mercy do? Well, you will find out if you're at hearing, but you wouldn't find out necessarily from that announcement. So what can we do here? What are our points of convergence? So we know that we haven't crafted the message yet. We know what we want to get. We know what we want to say. We know that these are some of the responses, getting into the shoes of the people there, plus the fact that I can't get them to there, or I don't want to clean them. Right? You just add them, just add them. And we say, well, the love to help, we can work with that, but can we expand this? Tell me how. Because all what I know from the first message is drop it in the box. Is there more that I can do? Like wash the clothes, sorry. Love the cause, so we know that that people do relate to the cause, and would love to recycle Christian style. Everyone likes to feel that they're not just throwing it away. They're not helping Village Value, make some money. You're helping people in need. So let's see if we can add to that message in a way that gets more of a response that connects with the audience. Not just connects with the love to help, but connects with those that would love to help but. Winter sales in full swing. Help! Winter clothing sales are in full swing, but you needn't go to the mall to help the Angels of Mercy. Clothe the homeless this winter. You can rummage through your cupboards, or ask a relative or close friend for clothing. The angels need men's winter clothing to distribute when they serve hot lunches downtown to those whom the gospel calls among the least. Needed are coats, jackets, sweaters, blankets, sleeping bags, winter socks, and gloves. You can donate new or used items after all masses until November 2. Drop them in the box marked Angels of Mercies next to the exit in the parking lot. Please, men's winter clothing only. What's the difference between the first one and this message? They're both the same message, both the same information. What's the difference that you see?
You know more about the angels of mercy, what you do.
You know more about them, if right?
Gospel call is bringing that element.
Who? Yeah, and who does that address the gospel call? Everyone, but particularly the guy at the bottom there that says, "Not my kind of charity." Okay, right? So that's saying, the first one says, "Time to clean out your closets." What's the message there? Yes, get rid. What you want to get rid of. What you want to get rid of, give to the homeless, right? So it's not really gospel-like, but it's practical, but not very gospel-like. The other thing is that only 8 of you actually clean out your closets of about 50 here. So as soon as I say, time to clean out your closets, I'm not reading anymore because I don't clean out my closets in the fall. So it's appealing to the small percentage that are inclined to clean out their closet. Yes?
It also sort of reminds me that I should do it.
That's okay, but that's not your main message. That's not the main message of the message provider, you know? Yes, it could be a kind of a suggestion. Why don't you clean out your, follows here, why don't you clean out your closet? There are many ways you can craft the message. That's to say, there's no absolutes, right? And there are many ways to craft the message. The thing here was just to apply the schema to see how you can address the audience where they are and try to get more of a response. So the idea that you needn't go to the mall to help the angels, yes? I'm just going to finish my point. Winter clothing sales are in full swing. You needn't go to the mall to help the Angels of Mercy clothe the homeless this winter. That's an indirect way of saying you could go to the mall. If you don't have any clothes, blah, 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 you could go to the mall. So it's indirect. You can rummage through your closets because not everyone does rummage through their closet. And the rummaging through your closet is not cleaning it. It's just rummaging. It's a different take on it. Rummage through your closet or ask a relative or close friend. That appeals to the people in the first 3 groups. I don't have any of my, so, oh yeah, I gave all my husband's clothes away, but Ethel's husband just died, and she doesn't know what to do with his clothes. I'm just going to spread the word. So I can help that way because I love to help. So you can ask a relative or close friend for clothing. And then, of course, why are we going to do this? Because not only do they distribute winter clothing, but they serve hot lunches to those whom the gospel calls among the least, which brings up it for everybody. So there that is putting into practice that schema of how the message, how we can engage our audience, make a human connection with the audience on multiple levels. That's applying that. So there's nothing wrong with the first one. It did what it needed to do. It got lots of clothes. Doing it this way would just work at various levels. Work in terms of parish appreciation for what the angels do. Work at many, many levels. Audience grounded message. So now we're going to go to a commercial application, and we'll have a little media break here. We're here at a Parish Vitality Conference. Okay, so here's an announcement. Parish conference planned. The Office of English Pastoral Services is planning a conference to help parishes sustain and build vitality. It will take place November 13-15 and will feature pastoral leaders from Nativity Parish in Baltimore, Father Michael White and Tom Corcoran, plus 17 how-to workshops. Mark your calendar, more information to come. Simple. This is a business card announcement. Good? Got the facts? We're good? How many people have remember reading this? Okay. Well, just to let you know, it never appeared. This never appeared. The information appeared in different places, but that never appeared. This is like the Angels of Mercy announcement. Straightforward, say what you are, go for it, do it, okay? That never appeared, all right? So, Not that. So we take ourselves through the process again. Core message: we want you to come to the Parish Vitality Conference. What are the main elements? 3 days. It's to support parishes and help to increase parish vitality, to impart practical skills, and in preparation for new evangelization initiatives. Target audiences: parishioners, 3 types. Super involved, you're here. Somewhat involved, I guess you're here. Are any could-be involved here? It would be nice to know if there are some could-be involved, like not really involved but would like to be. I don't know. Anyone here like that? Shucks. Okay, our audience profile. We looked at feelings. We looked at, so what would people in the pews be, concerned about? What would they be feeling? Well, I mean pews, in our target audience, the super involved, the someone involved. Well, some people definitely feel valued, connected, fulfilled, important, eager, enthusiastic. And others feel quite alone, undervalued, taken advantage of, unsupported, exhausted, or overextended. It's this combination. And no either one feeling applies to any one person. Because someone could feel very well connected, but exhausted. Someone could feel, very eager, but completely unsupported. It's a combination of feelings. But we know there's this range of feelings out there. The attitudes, range of attitudes. What someone might say, hey, why don't you come to this conference? Oh, yes, like the person, I'd love to help. Yes, exactly what we need. I'm there. Where can I sign up? It's a small percentage. Another one, it's about time the diocese did something for us. We give them 9% of our revenues. What are they doing for us? Third, oh, God, not another project from 2000. No. We have enough things to do. Or, last one, we're fine as we are, thank you. We're doing very well. We don't need this. Points of convergence. We said, well, look, let's get a message out that we are not alone. We're in this together. Really, someone out there does value what each parish does do. Hopefully, people in the parish can say, well, admit that we can do better if we had more help. Not that we're doing things poorly, but we can do better if we had more help. And that, we as a parish do make a difference. So those are the messages. So the bulletin headlines, there were six bulletin announcements that went out. The first one was, parish is not outdated. Fall conference planned. Parish is not outdated. So that is to speak to those people that says, my parish, are we the only ones here? No one's coming to church. The church is empty. Is there any hope? No, parish is not, don't worry. It's not outdated. Second one, hey, you're exhausted. Oh my God, what are you talking about a conference in the fall? Summer first. Summer first, don't worry, we hear you. Summer first, then parish conference. When we get back in the fall, the bulletin announcement is, before your fall agenda fills up, we know you're very busy. So before your agenda fills up, would you consider this? Later on in September, beginning of October, a shekel for your thoughts on fundraising. Every parish has some fundraising issues. A shekel for your thoughts. What interests you? What do you have to tell us? Not registered for the parish conference? Don't worry. This is 2 weeks before. There's plenty of room at the cathedral because it's free, so come. Even if you're not coming to the conference, come to the cathedral. Last one, you're invited to the conference keynote, okay? So just those headlines are sending a different message to different audiences to try and tap those points of convergence. Now, they were intended to go out like that. How they were printed in your bulletin, we have no control over. So while they're meant to be headlines, I would see in bulletins, Parish Vitality Conference, and the first line is, parish is not out of date. So it kind of defeats the purpose. Like they really, whoever was doing the bulletin, made a value judgment there, and it's not always what serves the message, okay? So, but the idea was that we're not talking about parish conference and everything, but it's there in the text. But we're appealing to where the people who we want to attract to this conference, who we think would benefit from it, what they would relate to. So let's look at this. Parish is not outdated fall conference plan. Notice that announcement that I showed you, the business card announcement for the conference that you said you all saw. It started off with the Office of English Pastoral Services is organizing, right? That's the standard. Pillars Trust is doing, The potluck group is St. Vincent de Paul Society is this. The Angel, right? So you're not going to find that here because it's not about the OEPS. It's not about DMP. It's not about, it's, you know, it's about where you relate to the message that we want to share with you. So the parish is not an outdated institution. Oh, yeah? Oh, Pope Francis says that. Okay, that carries some weight. Where, oh, new evangelization, I haven't heard about that. So what is the parish? It's a flexible institution, here's the challenge, that can assume quite different contours depending on the openness and missionary creativity of its pastor and the community. So that's saying a lot. Now, I wouldn't say it that way, but these are the Pope's words, so you can't edit the Pope's words, all right? But the Pope's words were cited in such a way that people would get it. Oh, yeah, it's not outdated, but there's something we've got to do. There's a challenge there. Now, next paragraph. Without a doubt, your parish, not the parishes, your parish, if you're reading this, its witness are vital. And vitality are vital to the new evangelization. So what the Pope is talking about, this message says, what the Pope is talking about, he's talking about you and your parish. He's not talking about the OEPS. He's not talking about the diocese. He's talking about you and your parish. And so now to support your efforts to sustain parish vitality and be witness to God's love in the community, the Office of English Pastoral Service is organizing blah, 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 blah. Okay? Those are the dirty details. All right? So the whole thing is geared towards who that audience, what that audience relates to in terms of the message that we're trying to convey. It's not about us. It's about that. So that would appeal to the people that feel undervalued, feel unsupported. All of this speaks to those kinds of messages. Summer first, then parish conference. Okay. Summer is the ideal time to relax, catch one's breath, and think about what could become the fall. You have to very gingerly. People look, they're starting their summer vacations. You don't want to get them thrown back into the fall. So you say, hey, relax, catch your breath, and think about what could be. You're not saying make your fall plans. What could be in the fall? So whenever post-Labor Day activities cross your mind, that's the marker. Look, we don't expect you to think about this until Labor Day, okay? So, but whenever you find yourself thinking, oh, what am I going to do after Labor Day? Consider reserving time at the Parish Vitality Conference. That's all. Give the date, open to everyone. A sneak preview is available at parishvitality.com. Happy summer, okay? So keep the message focused on. Before you register for the fall agenda, okay, so now here we're giving the dirty details because people hadn't heard anything at this point. We met with the representatives. We did what Energy East did, although I didn't know they did this. But we gathered, we invited each parish to name representatives to come to a meeting, and we asked them to be the parish vitality representatives in their parish and to promote it there so that there's a one-on-one connection, the human connection again. And so this information was the first time it came out. But at the bottom, ask the pastors if they felt comfortable to include the bottom. The conference schedule, list of workshops and registration form are in the brochure, which are now available in your parish, online. And so from your parish represented your parish at a publicity meeting last week and is available to answer questions. So we're putting the names of the people. Wendy and Paul Aiken were there. You know, so-and-so was there. And they're at the back of the church today to answer your questions. So again, it's that human connection, using all those elements. A shekel for your thoughts. Have fundraisers become an important source of revenue for your parish? Do you feel too dependent upon them to make ends meet? Now we're getting into the conference of the content of the conference. Christian stewardship offers an alternative approach. Everyone has something to offer. Everyone, be it time, talent, or treasure. All right? Then Peter Knowles of St. Augustine's Parish has a view. More information, okay? And then, now the grapevine headlines were different though. We didn't just cut and paste what was going in the bulletin and put it in the grapevine. No, you cut from the bulletin and then put it in the website. No, completely different audience. Why are these different headlines and different messages for the grapevine? Anyone tell me? Yeah, who do you think the audience is? Not really. The committed people, the keeners, the I love to do it. So we've got to give them different messages, right? We gave them different messages. So for example, because these messages all, so when the bulletin was saying summer's come, well, this is what appeared in the grapevine. Parish Vitality Conference, one click closer. The keeners, the people who are on the in the know people, the people who are on the grapevine, they're the people that want to be in the know. They want to know what's going on. They want to be the first to know. They want to tell their friends. So we say, okay, talk of Parish Vitality Conference in November has been circulating. Recently with notices published in the bulletins, the Catholic Times, the Grapevine. Bishop Tom talks about it everywhere he goes. So there's plenty of talk. How about some details? The conference is for whom? Will be held where? When? Why? I don't know. So look no further. Visit the diocesan website. Go to parishvitality.com. So we were announcing the website. There was an action there. There are people that like to click. Give them something to click. All right? Put Parish Vitality on the agenda. This came out after that meeting. So the bulletin had, hey, someone from your parish was at the meeting. Establish a human contact, and there will be a presentation in your parish. The people on the Grapevine were hearing, hey, more than 70 representatives from 33 parishes turned out last Saturday to learn more about the Parish Vitality Conference. Held at Our Lady of Fatima, representatives learned details about the purpose, program, etc. Most parishes will launch the promotional campaign September 13th and 14th. So driving them to their parish. So we're bringing the keeners back to the parish because some of them just like to know, but they don't go. Right? So we want to get the no's to go. That message is there. And it gives them the news feed, which is why they're on the Grapevine in the first place. Okay? So just to know that there are your audience, your message, the who, what, where. So we're back to the ladder. Have we completed the communications ladder? Do you have tools to help you communicate your messages? First entry level, do the assessment, craft your message. Do you feel you have some tools? Okay. Good. Questions? Questions, and how much we have 5 minutes. Don't tell me I answered all your questions.
From who will
What
ask?
about if you have a very heterogeneous audience, like in our parish, Our Lady of Fatima, we have an older European population and a younger immigrant population from India, the Philippines, Sri Lanka.
Right.
You know, to appeal to all of those, you really have to tailor
You
different
really-
messages or be a real magician.
No, you really do, and you need to recognize that, hey, here's a message that we could, that would be heard no matter what demographic you come from.
Mhm.
However, this other message is for a particular demographic. We're going to have to, craft it 3 different ways. For some messages, you can use the general demographic because, hey, they're all parishioners, they all go to church, they all love to help others. All right? So when you have those factors in common, that's fine. But when you have something like a social event or something like that, which will not fly with one group as opposed to another group, then you craft your messages to try and bring them together, to try and help them see each other, if you want both groups to participate. That then becomes your message challenge as part of your analysis. Say, look, we're going to do an Asian night, and our 60-year-olds, Irish 60-year-olds, they really don't like curry. What are we going to do? All right? So it's an interesting challenge. There are ways to bridge the gaps. I have to sit down and do some thinking. I didn't throw this at the top of my head. It's thinking. You have to think it through. You have to think it through. I love curry pie.
Me too. And I'm Irish, so you can change. We can all change.
Exactly. I'm Irish. I love curry. Yes.
I just want to say I love the way you showed us the 2 messages. I mean, when I first read the one about the Angels of Mercy, I thought, okay, all the information is there. And when you came back and really focused line by line by line,
Yes.
it was beautiful. It was really inspiring to do. So just the change, the same amount of words,
It's just
just crafted
nuances,
a little bit different.
but with purpose.
Yeah, and it was really moving. Thank you.
Yes.
I guess just a comment that it's also important to know where your audience is going to. I'm not going to reach any young people in the bulletin.
No, and that's why, that's another workshop. That's why that slide that showed, the 65 and then the 50, and like I said, that's not to ignore that. We have to use it. Those are the means. That's why we did the Jimmy Fallon. We have to use the means, but what doesn't change, okay, what I would do, that's an important point about it. Well, we were talking about the rungs of the ladder, all right? But a ladder has 2 sides. And I say one side is the means that you choose. It has a language. So the website has a different language from the bulletin. You know, video clips have a different language from something that's audio. So you have to use the language of that, and the other, as part of, as the means, whatever means you use the right proper language, which is another workshop, many workshops. And this is really, I would say, is our Christian Catholic heritage, our faith heritage. That, you know, we say the gospel call to, that's part of our message. That has to always be there. That's an important part of it.
But an interesting thing is, maybe as I reflect on it, the bulletin could be another means for me to reach the other people so that they are aware of that there is work being done with young people.
Sure, absolutely.
And asking them maybe to invite their grandchildren or their children to these events.
Yeah, there's always, yeah, exactly. So.
So when are the other workshops on?